Good morning, card makers. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool fun fold card. It was inspired by something I saw online, a card posted by Donna Ross, who is a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Houston, Texas. Her site is Stamped Sophisticates, and actually there is a link to her site if you visit my kathyscraftroom.blogspot.com. This card opens up this way first. I've got a little sticky in there to hold it closed. So you have warmest winter wishes. Well, on the front you have wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And then the first flap you open, it has warmest winter wishes and a few sprinkles of color. And then when you open it up all the way, you have here's to a season filled with warmth, comfort, and good cheer. So let me show you how I made this card. Oh, and this card base actually was part of a set from Stampin' Up! I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I don't use all Stampin' Up! Materials, but this particular card uses quite a few of them. And it was from a set called Adventure, Memories, and More Cards and Envelopes that was in their catalog last year. It's now retired, but it was kind of cool because it has this card base, which is, white on the back, and then it comes with this cute little envelope. And this card is actually 4.25 by 6.25. I think I was right the first time. I think it's 4.25 by 6.5, and then it had 10 of that card, and then this is the other design that was in it, so you had 10 of this one, which is pretty cool. Big bang for your buck there. So I'm going to set this card aside and I'll show you my kit and how I assembled it. I have all of the instructions for this. Well, I don't have the instructions. These are the instructions, but I have all the measurements on my blog, and you can check there for all of the information. So this is the envelope again, really cute envelope. And this is the card base. It's got, you can see just kind of a polka dot. It's got like a dotted grid kind of a design on it if you look closely. And then inside I have all the pieces parts. This piece, and actually several of the pieces, were cut from Countryside Corners dies, and these are a current die set from Stampin' Up! All of these pieces fit together. There are several different sizes of this same die. I just cut this one shorter, and then on the inside I'm going to have this little piece, or not on the inside, it's actually on the front of the card, but it's under this flap, so it's going to go under there. Those all came from that same die cut. The paper that I'm using is from a 6 by 6 inch stamp paper pad called One Horse Open Sleigh, and this piece kind of, I think it matched up down here somewhere. So I was able to get the piece is 6 by 6. This piece is 6 by 1.5 inches. This piece is about 3 by 3 inches. So I was actually able to get 2 cards out of each piece, 2 full cards, or the pieces for 2 full cards. The paper here is actually it's not 5 1/4. It's 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. I think 6 1/4 by 4. Oh, 6 by 4. So okay, let's go back to the beginning. These cards are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. This piece is 6 inches by 4 inches, and this piece is 5 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So it's not your usual A2 card size. It's a little bit taller than that, so it kind of changes the shape of the card. And this piece, I just love this. This is some paper that I got from Sizzix, and it is called Opulent Cardstock Pack, and it's got just a whole bunch of different colors in it. You get several sheets of each color. Let me see if I can find, yeah, here's the pack. It's got this, and this, if you look kind of closely, it's got a shimmer to it. It's just a beautiful color. It's called Eucalyptus, and it actually matches almost identically with this Lost Lagoon that we used on the inside. But this is the paper, and it is actually very cool because it's got all these different types of paper inside of it, and all of them are sparkly or shimmery or have some kind of a nice effect to them. And it's a huge, you can see that it's a huge card pack. Okay, moving right along, the die that I'm using for this came from Creative Expressions. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and the name of the die is, coincidentally, Wonderful Time of the Year. So it's a pretty intricate die, and I was doing this at a stamp camp. This card we did in a stamp camp, and when I made my samples, I used itty-bitty tiny little dots of glue on the back of this die to add it to my card. And I decided the ladies would probably get up and walk away from my table, so when I cut these die cuts, I actually put some sticky stuff on the back so they could remove the backing and add that to the card. So those are all the pieces parts that we have for the card, and these measurements are also on my blog. So I'm going to do a little bit of stamping here, not much. And I'm going to bring over a piece of paper so I don't stamp on my mat here. Can you tell I'm a little discombobulated this morning? There we go. Okay, so the stamps that I used, some of them are retired Stampin' Up! Stamps. One of them is from a company that I actually would not even advise trying to go to their website, because I checked this morning to see if the website was still there, and it came up with this crazy virus warning thing. So I decided maybe that's not a place you want to visit. But it was called Raisin Boat, and it was a pretty cool company because you could rent stamps from them. Most of the stamps that I rented from them I ended up buying rather than returning because I liked them so much. I'm going to use Lost Lagoon ink that coordinates with the inside cardstock, the mat. And the first thing I'm going to stamp is the inside. So this is the tree, and this is the Raisin Boat stamp. You might be able to find it online. The stamp set is called Merry Nature, but again, I kind of strongly advise against trying to look for the Raisin Boat site, because it not only flashed a big warning, but it also had a voice telling me, do not close this website. You may lose data, and all kinds of other warnings. So I decided I really did not want to visit that site again. The second stamp that I'm going to use is from a retired Stampin' Up! Set, and it's called First Frost. And this is a beautiful stamp set if you can find it anywhere. It is just gorgeous, and I have made several cards with it over the years, before and after it retired. So that's the end of the inside. I'm going to set that aside, and this is what the First Frost stamp set looks like. I use a lot of my retired stamps because some of them I just cannot part with. I don't buy recommended Stampin' Up! Stamps. I don't buy just because it's a Stampin' Up! Stamp. I only buy the sets that I really like, so it's really hard for me to part with most of them. And that's one that I probably will never part with. Okay, then on the front, I wanted to add a little bit of sprinkles, just because when I put this piece on here, I'll actually add that piece first before I do the sprinkles. I'm going to put the 1.5 by 6 inch piece of, and I'm going to apologize because I'm using my big huge tape runner here, so it's going to kind of obliviate the rest of the screen because it's so big, but that's what I happen to have in front of me, so that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so this piece, I'm just going to line it up equally distant from the top, the bottom, and the sides. So that's probably about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So that's where that piece is going to go. Then I'm going to take this little sprinkle, and that sprinkle came from the, oh, let's see, where did that come from? That came from the Color and Contour stamp set, which is still available from Stampin' Up! And there's a lot of fun stuff in there. So I'm just going to kind of add a few sprinkles here and there, and you can see that it's just kind of livening up that background. I think that's enough because we're going to have that flap coming across here, so we don't really need any more. And then the last piece that I'm going to stamp is this little sentiment piece that goes under the flap. So I'm going to stamp this little greeting, Warmest Winter Wishes. And this is from one of my all-time favorite stamp sets. It is called Freescape. And this again is from Stampin' Up!, a retired set. And I'm using the Warmest Winter Wishes, which I do some Christmas cards. I do a lot of Christmas cards in my classes, but the cards that I send out generally are winter cards, because I have a lot of friends who are, other than, who don't necessarily celebrate Christmas. So I like to have a card that just celebrates the season. And I'm going to stamp that one right here. Warmest Winter Wishes. And now, and I'm going to put another few sprinkles on there, just to kind of tie that in with the background. A few sprinkles here. I think that's enough. Maybe a little bit more there. Okay, so now we're finished with the stamping and we can assemble the card. Oh, the other stamp set that I referred to is the current stamp set from Stampin' Up! And this one is called Color and Contour, and that's where I got this little sprinkle stamp right here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this piece. This is the largest of the dies in the Countryside Corners die set. And what I'm going to do, because it's going to flap over the front, but if I just try to adhere it here and line that crease up with the side of the paper, that's not going to work too well. I'm going to take that out of there so we can see the edges of the white paper. That's not going to work too well because it will leave just a tiny bit less space than we need, and this won't fold properly. So the easiest way I found to make sure that the card would close properly and you won't get a buckle in the front of the card is to put it over the front. This is the longer side, the shorter side is on the inside, and what I did is I added some adhesive to that flap. Okay, now it's on the outside of that flap, because what I'm then going to do is I'm going to make sure that that's tight against the front edge, and then I'm just going to close the card, and that will adhere that flap to the inside exactly where it needs to be positioned. No buckling of the front, it lines up perfectly. Okay, then we can take this piece, and this is part of that open, what did I say? One horse open sleigh paper. And I'm going to line that up right against the edge of the card, right here. Then I'm going to take these two pieces and I'm going to attach the Pebbled Path. This is one of my favorite new colors. It's a good neutral color. It's got just a touch of brownish to it. It's a grayish brownish color. I'm going to line that. Now this is the front edge of the card. I'm going to line this up right here in the center, right against the edge, and then I'll add my warmest winter wishes to that. And again, that lines up right here against the edge. Okay, so this is finished. And all we have to do now is add this little, now this might be tricky, getting the backing started off of the, I have these paper thin fingernails, so usually I'm able to get it started pretty well. When we did the stamp camp, people, my ladies at my table were using all kinds of different tools to try to get that edge up off of there. And I honestly don't know where I got this backing. I have so many different kinds of it in my stash that I just pulled out whatever was handy and put on the back as soon as I realized they weren't going to be wanting to put 1,000 itty-bitty tiny dots of glue on the back of this thing, because it's not only a pain to do that, but it's also, you know, you need to keep your fingers away from the glue or you get glue all over them. It's kind of a mess. I think I'm going to have to stand up to put this on there straight. And I think that looks pretty good. Yep, I think that looks great. Okay, now I have these iridescent, and I have a ton of them. I've got all these little packages that are already opened of these wonderful iridescent rhinestone jewels, also by Stampin' Up. I love these because they take on whatever color you're using. I've used them on pink cards, I've used them on white cards, silver cards. Whatever color you're using, they really look good because they just pick up that color and blend in. So I think I'm going to put a little one up here, maybe here. That's the medium size actually. And then I'm going to put one of the largest ones down here. And of course, adding this thick rhinestone adds a little bump to your card. So when you mail it, I don't know about you, but if I take cards to the post office and they see that little bump and they go, ooh, this is a little irregular, let's charge you more postage. So what I have a friend who has a really good tip for that. She will use a piece of cardstock. She'll take just a regular piece of cardstock, some scrap cardstock, cut it to 5.5 by 4.25 inches, and then she runs it through a crimper or uses a die to give it some texture and puts that over the top, and then that keeps these bumps from adding a bumpy part in the middle of the card. It just makes the whole thing uniform. And I haven't seen that she's had to add any more postage to the card having done that. Okay, now we're going to finish this off by adding the inside. So first I will put the Lost Lagoon cardstock on the inside. and that lines up about 1/8 of an inch away from each edge. And then finally we'll add the sentiment for the inside with the tree on it. And that, well, this is a tip I got from a friend. If you're trying to line something up straight, if you just catch that corner where you want it, then you can swivel it a little bit until you get it straight all the way around. And then you can go ahead and adhere it. So, this is the card. Oh, that's not the card. This is the card. Here's the inside, here's the first flap, here's the second card. Now there is the card. I hope you enjoyed this. I had so much fun making it, and I am so thankful for the woman, Donna Ross, who posted that, because it is just a great card, and I have a feeling I'll be using it for many other cards. Thank you very much for watching.